Hey, welcome back to the show, and today we're going to do a video about using large format film. As I told you in the previous video, large format film is cut into sheets instead of cut into rolls, so you have these boxes that have the film inside. This film is usually single-sided emulsion, which means there's emulsion on one side and there's no emulsion on the other side. That's the exception in the case of X-ray film, which has emulsion on both sides. That's okay when you're loading and you're shooting, but I do tend to make a little cut on the emulsion side so I know which side has the proper exposure and I won't print it the other way around. On normal film, you do have these notches which identify the film depending on what emulsion it is. This notch is unique to the same emulsion, whatever the size it is. So if you're shooting 4x5, 5x7, 8x10, or any other size, the notch should be the same. The only brand I know that does the same notch for all the films is Filma. So you gotta be careful if you're shooting different emulsions. I will post a link in the description with a website for notches, historical or modern notches, so you can find them out. Just in case you're buying old film or you're buying new film and you're curious or you don't know what you loaded, that's an easy way to figure it out. As you can see here, Tri-X has this code, and in 8x10 Tri-X has exactly the same code. So that's what I mean by it's unique to the emulsion, not the size. E6, for example, Provia 100F has this notch, which I actually have an exposed sheet of film, and you can compare that the notch is exactly the same. If you ever tend to lose or misplace what film holder has what film, what I've done before is in the darkroom or in a tent, I pull out the film and on a piece of paper with a pen, mark the notches, close the film back in, and open the tent, check that paper, and compare to the database for the notches. That will help you identify and not throw film out when you make those mistakes. If you ever do put more than one emulsion in a box, I do mark the emulsion with a Sharpie on the box so I know when I'm loading what is 160 NC in this case and a 400 NC Portra in this other case. That way you don't make any mistakes or you keep them to a minimum and it's easy to remember. So these notches are placed on one of the corners of the film, which is always, when I'm loading, the top right corner, and that identifies that this is the emulsion side. If that corner is on the left, it means I'm doing it wrong. If that corner is on the bottom, I just don't know what I'm doing. So I just keep it always on the top right corner. You grab a film holder, which is unique to each size. There's usually no film holder that will do more than one size unless you're shooting panoramics, which you cut a dark slide, but that's a different episode. You pull the dark slide out, not all the way, I don't usually do it all the way. Open the flap, grab the film with that notch on the top right corner, and there's two little ribs which I push the film under that keeps it flat. Push it all the way, and once you pushed it all the way, this is done in the dark, so you gotta feel that there's these two little tabs that will help you know it's all the way in. You push the flap down and you close the dark slide. The dark slide does have a way to identify if you exposed or not exposed your film. White means loaded and not exposed, and black means exposed and loaded in my case. Some people expose it and then when they reload, they maybe take the time, but I always keep it black till I develop the film and only flip it around when I've loaded again. I rather try to develop film that's not there than develop or expose twice. The dark side does have a soft side or a polished side on the tab up here and a rugged side. That makes you identify what side's on when you're loading in the dark, just in case you need to, so you don't have to like flip the dark side when you open the tent, which would expose your film. How you shoot is basically you insert your film holder in the camera, you pull out the dark side, expose the film, flip it around so you know that you've shot it, and push it back in. This makes it light, tight, and you don't get any light leaks in the film. Another good thing about this film is that it's used in large format cameras. These cameras tend to be way more flexible regarding movements. It does have some negative things. First being the price of the film. It is pricier because you're shooting one shot per sheet, an 8x10, one sheet of film is approximately the same price as one roll of 120 film or one roll of 35mm film, but you're only taking one picture. Another thing is, as it's bigger and you're actually touching the film, which doesn't happen with any other medium, you can get your fingerprints, you can get it scratched, you can get dust, you can get water or sweat when you're changing your film. So it is something you got to take much better care and be cleaner. Don't try to rush, don't do it in stress or running around. Another thing is you got to develop these films either in trays or in special drums, which are expensive. These special drums usually don't take more than 5 sheets of film, which in 35 or in 120 film you can do a lot more, but it is an advantage in the way that you can control development. Another thing that can happen is you can get light leaks either in your camera or in your film holder. Your film holder, maybe you opened your film by accident, maybe your dark slide has some pinholes or it's been broken by any chance, maybe your seals on your film holder are faulty and you need to change them. So that is another problem you can get with cheap film. Well, the boxes, as I said, do come with half a box inside another half a box inside another half a box. That means, if I can open it, that means that the light will have to go through 3 half boxes in order to expose your film or leak your film to light. This happens with Kodak, Ilford, and Fuji, but not in the case of FOMA. FOMA only has a box, half a box inside another half a box, and then a plastic bag. I've never had light leaks with it, but you do have to be extra careful with that. So now that I've explained to you how to load it, how to open your film, and how to expose it, I will tell you how I pull it out of the film holder and store it back in the boxes if I'm not developing straight from the film holders. I do keep empty boxes that have instructions about how to develop it. So this will say empty to process, E6 do not open. This is usually for me or security guards at airports to not open the box. I put a rubber band or some tape to protect it, but I basically just use the box as it was new film, but it's developed. So I will keep always the same emulsion or the same ISO if it's black and white in the same box. So if you're shooting the zone system, you need boxes for every exposure. If you're shooting color negative and color slide, you need a different box for each. But I just keep it all inside, emulsion side up, so it doesn't get scratched with the box. And then I just close it again. This I do in my tent or in my darkroom, and it's pretty easy to get used to. First times, try to just practice with an exposed sheet of film or with just a normal piece of paper, but that's how it works. So that's it about large format film. I wanted to tell you how to open, load, identify the notches so you know how to load your film, unloading, and storing your film to process. So that's it for today. Thanks for watching, and if you have any doubts, please leave it in the comments and I'll get back to you. I'll see you in the next video.